Hi, class. So this is your math lesson 1304, the pre-recorded lesson that you'll watch to be able to do that lesson. So let me share the screen and take a look at that lesson with you. So here's 1304, math goals. In this lesson, you're going to learn to be able to write operation words. Again, operations means plus, minus, subtracted by, so plus and minus and division and multiplication, sorry. To describe a given expression, an expression is a number sentence. It's an equation. Interpret expressions or number sentences without evaluating them. So in other words, say what it's asking of you without actually solving. I think evaluating means solving in this case. Let's take a look at the lesson. It's 7 pages long. First of all, let's go to the end of it to see what our assignment is for this one. So your assignment is a quiz. I believe I made it due tomorrow, but I can double check that. Let's see, 1304, you're doing the lesson today. And yes, the quiz tomorrow. And then we start on mod 14 on Friday. So back to the lesson. To be able to do the quiz, you need to work your way through the pages carefully, reading it and doing all of the exercises. So here it says, write the following expressions using operation words in your interactive notebook. An example is provided for you. 4 plus 3. You would write it like this, 4 plus 3. You might even write out the words, but for 4 and 3, but here they're not asking you to do that. So in this case, it would be 2 times, T-I-M-E-S, 7, 10 minus 3, M-I-N-U-S, 15 divided by 5. So here they are, 2 times 7 or 2 multiplied by 7, 10 minus 3 or 10 subtract 3 or subtract 3 from 10, 15 divided by 5 or 15 split into 5 sections. We're going to take expressions and write words to represent them as statements. We can use math action words such as add, subtract, multiply, and divide to represent the operations in the expression. So in this case, you have to be careful because you have to do the parentheses first using PEMDAS, right? So you're going to have to say 4 times the sum of 3 and 2, or 3 plus 2. You can't say just 4 times 3 plus 2 because 4 times 3 is 12 plus 2 is 14. But 2 plus 3 is 5, 4 times 5 is 20, so it's very different. The expression starts with 4 times. We can write this as 4 times, but step 2 is tricky. The next part of the expression is 3 plus 2 in parentheses. This part is being multiplied by 4. We know that 3 plus 2 means we're looking for the sum or the total. 4 times the sum or the total of 3 plus 2. Sum of 3 and 2, the sum of 3 plus 2. And then you do minus 6, final step. So 4 times the sum of 3 and 2, then subtract 6 or minus 6. Excellent. There it is. This is what we're practicing on doing, is both being able to write this and then being able to take this and turn it into the other version. So going back and forth from numbers to words and then from words to numbers, being very careful that it still means the same thing. Write a statement to describe the expression of 5 plus, in parentheses, 3 times 2 plus 6. Ooh, tricky. The expression starts with 5 plus. This means we're adding 5 to something. We can start it with add 5 to. Okay. Step 2, the next part is the expression 3 times 2. We know we do multiplication before addition. So add 5 to the product of 3 and 2, but actually it's not just the product of 3 and 2 because we're adding 6 more to that. Now, when we have all addition, it doesn't really matter. But if this was 5 times, we would need to make sure that we added the 6 to it before we times it by 5. In this case, since it's addition, we know that we can move the addition around. It doesn't really matter if we go 5 plus 6 or 6 plus 6 plus 5. Doesn't matter. The next part is add 6, add 5 to the product of 3 and 2 plus 6. And the final thing is subtract 9. Okay, we're good. Next page. Write a statement for this one. So again, we have 1/5 times. So let's start with what is in parentheses this time. This means we are dividing 20 by 4. And because of the parentheses, we know this step needs to be done first. Write this as the quotient. Remember, quotient is the answer to a division sentence. You could also write first start by dividing 20 by 4, right? That's not going to be wrong. It's going to make sense. Next, we look at the fraction. 1/5 times tells us we're multiplying 1/5 by what is in parentheses. This also means we're finding 1/5 of. So you can substitute for one or of for times. We can write this by 1/5 of the quotient of 20 and 4, or we can say 20 divided by 4 times 1/5. The last part is add 2. Because this is at the end, it's the last step. We can write it at the end of the statement, then add 2, comma, then add 2. Nice. All right, so you've done a really nice job of learning how to take a sentence and write it in words. In this case, 3 times 5 plus 3, the sum of 3 times 5 plus 3 divided by 6. You have to write the sum of, or first do 3 times 5, then add 3, finally divide by 6. Something like that, just show the order. Multiply 3 by the quotient of 3 and 5. No. It's not the quotient of 3 and 5, then divide by 6. That's wrong. Oh, because they're telling you to choose the correct one here. So here they say add 3 to the product of 3 and 5, then divide by 6. That's it. Okay, be careful because multiply 3 to the product. These are confusing. So if they gave you a choice, you'd have to be able to recognize which one's correct. Add 3 to the product of 3 and 5. That's correct. Then subtract 6. No. Then divide by 6. That makes sense. Multiply 3 to the product. There was no quotient inside the parentheses. The product of 3 and 5. Nope, that wasn't a product. It was a sum. It was an addition. So be careful of those words. You need to know sum equals addition. Difference equals subtraction. Quotient equals division. And product equals multiplication. You've got to learn those 4. In this case, subtract 12 from the product of 6 and 7. That's correct. Then subtract 6. Nope. Then divide 6. There it is. Perfect. Says I'm not done. Let's get this one and see if we get it right. 3 times 5 divided by 6. There, let's try that. Boom. Amazing work. Good job. So there's 5 slides here where you can practice these. I suggest you do it. Then mid-lesson, it's going to start switching, I think. Nope, you're still writing expressions here. There's 4 pages of it where you're writing the expression, writing the expressions, really practicing writing those expressions. If it's hard, go through the lesson carefully. So here's something on how to describe the difference between these two, the difference between the answers. Then here you're matching up the question with answers. That might be something they ask you to do on the state test. And finally, that's it. So in this case, they didn't actually have you use words and then turn it into the sentence too much. They had you match it. But I'm guessing they'll have you do that in the next lesson. So then you take the quiz by tomorrow. If you have questions, you can email them to me, or you can come to the 2 o'clock session and ask questions. Great. Good luck.